Hello babes, hope it's not too noisy in the background. There's some pipes going, people cleaning outside the apartment and all that, so I apologize in advance if it's a little bit noisy. But anyway, let's get down to it. I am finally back. I have been really busy the past few weeks with work, few projects that are ongoing, so I just barely had time this weekend to quickly film a foundation review, and this one I really wanted to do quickly because this is Clarins Everlasting Foundation, and I'm also testing out the Everlasting Concealer today. So both of these formulas, I'll see how they go on top of each other, give you my thoughts on it, and also we'll just quickly run through what the formulation is about. So the overall promise is that you're going to get matte, high coverage pigments, but it's going to look like your skin, and it's going to give you superb 24-hour wear, which is great for, you know, all of life's challenges, which is pretty much what everyone wants from every foundation, right? You want it to be life-proof, weatherproof, so you want it to cling on but not be too dry or cakey or heavy looking. You want it to look natural, but you want it to cover your flaws at the same time. You want it to be matte in the areas where you want it to be matte, and also hydrating where you are a little bit dry, which is kind of like asking a bit too much, but that's what the brand is aiming for, so we shall give it a good test and see how it goes. Now, I'm going to be honest and say I usually take it with a big pinch of salt whenever any brand says that their skincare or their makeup is for all skin types, because generally that just doesn't happen. I mean, any skin type technically could use any product, but it's not always going to perform equally well for everyone. So while I do believe that they've put in effort to make the formula cater to as many skin types as possible, I will still test this for the whole day and then, you know, come back with my personal recommendations in terms of which skin types this is probably best suited for, and, you know, what the other skin types may need to look out for, you know, if you're still interested in trying this out.
If you're dealing with me, hey, light a fire, I'm a sage, negativity. Yeah, I can do it, don't need you to watch me, cause your doubt is like a virus, keep it 6 feet. Watch me how I do it, I can sing like a pop star. Watch me how I do it, I can sing it like a pop star. Watch me how I work.
Now, coverage level is, I would say, medium-high, but buildable. It was able to cover most of the mild discolorations, you know, fading marks on my skin, but if you want really flawless coverage, you can actually just dab on or stipple on a second layer. Do a patting motion, whether you're using a blender, your fingers, or a sponge. Try to finish off with this sort of a dabbing, stippling motion, because that helps to even out and build up coverage. And you can get almost full coverage building this up to 2 or 3 layers.
Again, you got lies, fake news, okay, Michael Flynn, but like the lightning in a hurricane, you can't stop me, you just gotta make it through the rain. Watch me how I do it, making money like a banker.
As for the concealer, right out the gate, I do feel this is very much better for oily and combination skins. It does feel pretty matte and it clings on. I have dry skin around my under eye area. It's quite prone to creasing, and this one, it already is starting to crease. But on other areas, blemishes and, you know, fading acne marks, all that kind of stuff, this does pretty well.
It's not the prettiest, the one with more class. Fuck the followers, I want the most cash. Hate on you.
As far as concealers go, this to me is not really high or full coverage, sort of a medium coverage concealer. Something about the lightweight, sort of creamy liquid formula just makes it sort of blend away a little as you're trying to build up coverage. So it looked great when I just dabbed and blended it on. The issue came when I was trying to apply powder on top of it. Now, I don't swirl my powder brush, so it shouldn't technically be lifting off product, but somehow or other, you know, just be aware that as you are setting your makeup, some products do sort of lose coverage a little bit. As you can see, I do have an old acne mark here from last week, and, you know, the moment the powder went on, some of the coverage went away. If you have slightly oilier skin, but your blemishes are not so bad that you need something really, really opaque, you just want something very quick, easy to blend and then go, this might be good for you. However, if you want really flawless, opaque coverage in areas, this may not be the formula for you. Also, when it comes to the color pigments, I did find that the concealers deepened up quite a bit more than the foundation formula. So you want to be very careful when you are choosing a shade in store. Do let it sit and set on your skin for, upwards of 2, 3 or more minutes, just to have a really, really accurate gauge of the color. Because if you are intending to use this to brighten up, dark circles or dark marks, and you find a shade that sort of matches you in store, it's not going to be brightening enough when you use it at home, and you're just going to be putting a dark concealer on top of a dark spot. Alright guys, it's now been almost 7 hours that I've been wearing this foundation, and I want to share that I think about 1 or 2 hours in, I was already seeing a glow, not an oily look. Okay, bear that in mind. It's just a little bit more of a glow around just the oilier parts of my face, the T-zone specifically. So I don't think this is a foundation that's really, really stellar at absorbing shine for long periods of time. So if you're extremely oily, this might not do that well for you. Now, of course, not everyone wants to look completely matte, and it's also unrealistic to expect a foundation to stay completely matte the whole day without blotting, which obviously I did not blot. Now, I was out a couple of hours today and I wore a face mask, so I'm going to show you the light staining. It is pretty light, so even with some bronzer and blush and powder on, actually none of that transferred too much, and I would say this foundation is more than decent at resisting transfer in general. The coverage has lasted decently well, however it has faded a little bit over this mark here. Maybe a little bit patchy looking here as well. So these are both the areas where I built up the concealer a little bit more to try and hide these fading marks, and the concealer did not seem to do a very good job of clinging on through heat and a little bit of mask wearing. It has creased a little bit around this natural fold under my eye. That's just unavoidable because the fold is permanently there. But around the expression lines, the places where, sometimes it's smooth, sometimes it's creased, it hasn't creased too much. Now, very quickly gonna blot off some of this shine. Now, it's a mixture of sweat and oil. Obviously quite a bit of shine today. I don't see too much makeup lifted off onto the blotter. It seems to be mostly just sweat and oil, and I would say for the most part the foundation is looking pretty good. Again, the areas where I find it not quite so great are the areas where I had the concealer on, so it's gone quite patchy over this slightly red mark here, and it's all but gone from this old acne mark here. So that just sums up my overall feeling that this is a very, very decent foundation formula. It's actually quite flexible in terms of adapting to or keeping different types of skin comfortable, because I do have slightly oilier skin here and slightly drier skin here. I didn't feel uncomfortable on parts of my face, and the breakdown is not really noticeable even around the oilier areas. The moment I blotted off the oil, the foundation looks pretty much intact. The primary wear and tear happened where I was wearing the concealer again. So I would say this is a yes for me, and this may be a little bit trickier to deal with. Very quickly, Candice from the future wants to step in and mention a couple of points that I missed out earlier. One is that the formula does contain fragrance and also some alcohol. So if these are things that you want to avoid in your makeup and skincare, then just bear that in mind. Also, this is a revamp of the original Everlasting Foundation formula, so it is not exactly the same texture and finish, and it's also not necessarily the same shade-wise. So if you're used to using a specific number or shade from the old Everlasting Foundation line, you may need to go get tested again just to be certain which shade to go for this time round. I did see some mixed reviews for this new formula from some UK customers, and I think the primary complaint was that this is a very quick drying texture and they found it a little bit harder to blend out or found it a bit cakier looking than the old Everlasting Foundation. I personally did not get any streaking or problems trying to blend it out, even after letting it sit on this side of my face for quite a while. But as always, my review is just based on my personal experience on my own skin. So do some due diligence, get some samples, try it out before you splash out the cash. And that's about it. I hope I gave you guys enough information to go on, if you were considering picking up one of these. Again, I really like this formula. It feels very, very light. It feels very comfortable. It's not really shifted or broken down after all these hours, and it feels comfortable. Even on my dry areas, it's not really emphasized any dry lines or texture, anything like that. Having said that, I do have to point out again that this is not especially good at controlling shine. Yes, it lasted, it clings to my skin, there's good coverage, and once you blot off the shine, it looks almost good as new, but there will be shine, and I saw shine within the first 1-2 hours of putting this on, even with a tiny bit of setting powder. So you may have to blot throughout the day, especially if you're oilier skin. And that's it. If you tried either of these, let me know what you think in the comments below. Like it, don't like it. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Bye.
Fuck the followers, I want the most cash. Hate all you want, ya. Talk smack. I bet my name